What's up, y'all? So today in this video, I'm going to be doing a CPU throttling test. So yeah, enjoy. How's it going, guys? So today in this video, I'm going to be doing a throttling test between three different devices. On the left, we have the S23 Ultra. By Samsung, we have the RedMagic 8 Pro, 8 Plus. I can talk. RedMagic 8 Pro Plus, and then on the right, we have the 8S Pro Plus. So what's unique about this one is we have 12 gigs of RAM here, 16 here, and we have 24 here. So I'm going to see how these perform. Keep in mind, these two have fans. This one doesn't. But this is a very popular choice amongst a ton of people. So I kind of wanted to show how these perform under stress to show you guys the differences. So yeah, we're going to press start. Obviously, it shouldn't be a timed thing. It's just going to be a result thing. But still, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's good. Okay. Gonna zoom in so you guys can kind of see what's going on. This is going to be interesting too, because the only reason to get the two phones on the right is because of gaming performance. For instance, you'll notice there's no cutout on the two devices on the right, being the camera cutout. So you're already losing, camera quality on the front. And obviously they didn't put too much effort in the back. So it's like, that's a big thing for a lot of people, having a good camera. So, this test really kind of needs to, I don't know, the devices on the right need to really show themselves, or like really prove themselves pretty much. And so I'm not entirely sure, but this device also this app could also be manipulated by Samsung, just because it's kind of interesting. We're getting, unless the lower the result, the better. But Samsung has a tendency to, they got in trouble for this, manipulate phone speed and things like that when running any kind of benchmark test, just to make their device look better. This also could have come out prior to that, because they downloaded this from an APK website, as I couldn't get access to it in the App Store, just because it, I guess, wasn't compatible with the new version of Android. Clearly it is, but it was probably just because, for whatever reason, it wasn't available. But yeah, it's kind of, if the lower amount is worse, then it's pretty interesting. I doubt that, though, honestly. And let me know what your favorite device is in the comments below. I know this is definitely a fan favorite. This is probably a device you've had if you just, maybe watched my videos before or watched somebody else's videos and, jumped on it. This is a brand new device, which is supposed to have the best performance. We are at the peak here, 24 gigs of RAM, 8 gigabytes of virtual RAM. I don't know how much of a difference it's going to be comparatively to the actual hardware RAM, but we still have 8 more gigs than this one on the right, and then 4 more here, so 12, 16, 24, like I said. But yeah, and it, yeah. But other reasons to go for this phone is these two phones are the game centers. Now, these are honestly, as corny as it sounds, like game-changing features. There's like a gaming mode on this one, but it really is just like one toggle and that's it. On here, you can literally do macros. Like, you can literally have your phone screen record touches and do them on loops if you're playing games like, games like RuneScape, which is one of my favorite games. You can actually like bot the game, which I don't do because I'm not trying to ban my character. But if you really wanted to, you totally can. And yeah, it's just interesting to see how these are performing in the test based on what they're said to prioritize. But yeah, if you are looking for stellar gaming performance, regardless of what this says, an actual real world performance. Okay, this is kind of interesting. As the S23 goes along, you can see the heat is catching up with it and it's starting to throttle. So as you can see in the beginning, it was doing really great, but it does look like it's going to, seemingly it's dipping below. Maybe not. Actually, the 8 Pro seems to be pretty low. But the one on the right, the 8S Pro Plus, it seems to kind of go back and forth, but we're actually still getting high readings on the one on the right, and it's throttling less. I think that's just because of fan efficiency. It makes me wonder if after 3 months of getting dust in the fan, the ability for it to cool is not as effective, or if they just actually increase the fan on the right. That is something to, increase the quality of it. That's something to consider. But as you'll notice, the 8S Pro keeps actually getting much higher reads than either device. And you still see some, I guess, so there seems to be some constant frame dropping on the S23 Ultra. On the left, seems a little bit more smooth on the 8 Pro Plus in the middle. And on the right, we have a pretty much up and down, but we are getting really, it seems to correct itself. And so we have we've reached 5 minutes 48 seconds. I'm gonna go ahead and stop these, and we can see the results. So interesting results. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. If RAM has nothing to do with it, so be it. But yeah, I kind of want to talk about it though. This is pretty interesting. It seems if we're going off of the best score here, it looks like the S23 Ultra performed the best, but I could be completely wrong on how I'm reading this. But still, it's kind of interesting. So this one seemed to reach the highest, I guess, levels of performance, right here. It's averaged over, consistent performance was less than, the average over here being, actually, wow. So, man, I can't tell if the 8S Pro just got literally obliterated. But man, I mean, there's a clear difference here. If I'm wrong, point me out in the comments, and if this is actually the better one, let me know. But yeah, this was a pretty interesting results. And yeah, we have, I guess I'll just read through. So 352, 945, for the max over here on the S23, the average was 314. The minimum was 268, 381, 339, and 287, and then 281, 250, and 221. So CPU throttled to 85% of its max performance, throttled to 82%, and it throttled to 81% of its max performance. So it's pretty interesting results, but yeah, thank you guys for watching and have a good one. What's up, y'all? So I did just a little bit of research just because I didn't feel very informed in the video. I did literally, as in researcher, read just the info on the app. Essentially, the results do make sense because of the fact that because there's a lot of beefy specs within the 8S Pro, even if it has a fan, there's only so much you can contain, especially when the device is pushed to its absolute limits to test what's going on. And so apparently the top one it's essentially looking for the second where it has, I guess, the best result. The middle is something over 60 seconds. That was the most continuous number, and then the lowest was the lowest one in 1 second, and that's kind of how they measured that. But it obviously makes sense that the better performance you're getting, the more throttling you're going to get. Does this mean that the RedMagic 8S Pro performs terribly in games? No. It's actually interesting because I get like insane performance on my 8S Pro, and I don't get that performance at all in my S23 Ultra. It's not a bad phone, but I think because of the fact that there's not that much processing power in the S23 Ultra, it's not a bad phone. I just, there's a lot less strain on the phone because it's not demanding a ton of performance, which means less heat's generated, which means less throttling. And this is doing a great job of combating it. Because think about the specs in the 8S Pro, even just versus the 8 Pro, right? So 8S Pro, the 24 gigs of RAM, man, that is a lot of, and like, I'm saying, like the best processor. This is clocked the highest 3.36 gigahertz at its cap. This one 3.19 gigahertz. This one actually, the S23 Ultra has 0.36 as well, but it maybe makes me think that there's a lot more demand on a device when it has more RAM. I'm not entirely sure. That could be completely wrong. But in reality, this result just completely shocked me. But at the same time, it does make sense. So I don't want you to use this as a deterrent from this phone, because in personal use, I get the best performance out of this device, even if it scored the lowest. Like I'm talking in RuneScape, this is 3 months ago versus this. I get literally 10 more frames per second, whereas in this one, it's 10 less, right? And then on the S23, I can't tell the frame rate, but I'm assuming it's something similar. But those were some very interesting results. But I don't want you to base your purchase off of throttling, because the more demand the processor has on it, the more it's going to throttle, especially if it's stressed. But that also means that it's going to handle games much better because it has more power, which means that it's actually going to be throttling less because it's going to be putting less stress on the CPU because it has more than enough to handle what it's doing, even if you're stressing it. Does that make sense? Like, the S23 Ultra probably most likely would be way more stressed out in a scenario where something with 24 gigs of RAM could absolutely handle it much better, just because of the fact that it can't handle as much, so there's less strain, but it actually does the opposite, where the app basically will throttle to nothing because it's capping out the power of the phone. Now, don't get me wrong, 12 gigs of RAM and the same Gen 2 processor, clearly the processor is powerful in the S23 Ultra. Clearly it's a good phone. I don't want you guys to think it's a bad phone, because I really enjoy it. I actually use it as my main phone. And yeah, if you'd like to know maybe why I use it, you can ask that in the comment section below. But yeah, either way, results, kind of shocking at first when I did some research. It makes sense. But I promise you, regardless of what the results say, this is the best phone. This is the best phone you can get. Trust me when I'm saying this. For gaming, this thing is a powerhouse. It also, if you buy the Bumblebee edition, which is still out there, it's going to come with one of those cooling fans. So you could even have the fan on the back and it will remove all heat generated. But I promise you, it keeps cool and it performs better than everything I've seen because of the power that's essentially available. It can handle apps with ease, which puts basically no strain on the phone, which means there won't be throttling, if that makes sense. Just wanted to clarify that. I repeated myself, but I wanted you guys to know that this is not an example. This doesn't mean bad performance. This just means that because there's more power on the device, the stress test is going to push this to its absolute limits, which is going to show throttling, but apps won't require that much anyway, so it's not going to stress it. And this has way more power, it's going to do much better. But I do like how, at least, and I obviously have some bias towards this device, but it's because I have the best experience for gaming on this by far. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, hit that subscribe button, and all that stuff. Thanks so much for watching.